So I try to stay away from Amazon for as much things I can get elsewhere as possible. I'm not a fan of services like that. I feel like they degrade our country. I had to just stop recording for a minute and go through and delete a bunch of stuff because it wasn't letting me record very long. So next you're going to need a rotary tool. I recommend a flex shaft over a Dremel every day of the week. They make a flex shaft attachment for a Dremel. Don't get confused, it's not the same thing. This has torque, as where a Dremel has speed. This is way better and it costs the same. And you get, if you buy the exact one I have, which is a Prodigy flex shaft, you get two hand pieces with it. One's a Jacob style chuck and the other one is a quick change chuck. Quick change, you just have to flip this lever, you can pull your accessory out and swap in a new one. Okay, you're gonna need accessories for the flex shaft like burrs, like drill bits. So you got ball burrs, you got stone setting burrs, you've got heart burrs, you've got wheel burrs and cone burrs. There's all sorts of other burrs that I don't have, but these are what I use the most. I recommend getting the cheap ones so you know if you're going to use it or not, and then upgrade to the expensive ones. So a good company for burrs would be like Bush. That's a good company for burrs. They make pretty high quality stuff. And the drill bits again. So this is a pack of the Bush. The small ones break almost always. The big ones, they stay sharp for a long time, especially if you lubricate them. They sell a kit that comes with 100 drill bits, 10 pieces of 10 different sizes from I think like 0.6 millimeters up to 1 millimeter. It's a good kit for starting out. Bit pricey, but when you're getting 100 drill bits, you're paying about $1, a little less than $1 a drill bit, so it's not bad. These, if you want to get the expensive ones, I've seen them up to like $14 per drill bit, so you can spend a lot of money on burrs and bits. You're going to need solder, so I'd recommend if you're just starting out to get easy, medium, and hard solder. 3 different grades are used for stacking. So if you got a join on top of a join on top of a join, your first join is going to be hard solder because it melts at the highest temperature. Second join is going to be medium solder because it melts at the second highest temperature. Third join is going to be easy solder because it melts at the lowest temperature. That way your solder joins aren't melting in between applications. You can get the solder in sheet, which I recommend to start off with, and then you can get it in wire, which I recommend to go to after you learn how to solder. Wire can be hammered or rolled into sheet, so it's more versatile to have a wire than it is sheet solder. Silver, you're going to need, if you're not making your own ingots, which I wouldn't recommend starting out, it can be kind of a royal pain and it gets a little pricey. You're going to need silver sheet, silver strips, and silver wire. You can get wire, you can get oval wire, you can get triangular wire, you can get round wire, you can get square wire, whatever kind of wire you want. But these are the 3 essential forms of silver you're going to be needing. Sheet is going to cost you the most and you're going to get the least amount for the money you're paying. Files, you're going to want Swiss cut files. I recommend this company, Gordon Valorb. Love these files. There's another company called Frederick Dick. Their files, they're good files, but they're not as good as these guys. You're going to want Swiss cut or Swiss made, and you're going to want 0 and 4 cut for your big files, and number 2 cut for your needle files. Okay, we're going to need some borax for flux. And that just looks like this. It's a borax cone with a ceramic dish. All you do is you put water in there and that you make a slurry, apply it with a paintbrush or something, And there you have your flux for keeping your metal clean, for soldering or annealing or any application where you apply heat to the metal. Slotted mandrels. Now these are pretty important. They save a lot of time. All this is a steel mandrel with a slot through it, and you wrap your abrasive paper around there, and they come in packs, so you'll have an assortment to use with your different grits. It works really good for the quick change handpiece. It's really fast switching between grits. For your abrasive paper, for gold and silver, I recommend 600 grit, 1200 grit, 2000 grit, 5000 grit, and then 6000 grit equivalent polishing paper. I don't always use the 6K polishing paper, but it comes in handy. And the link I'm going to give you for them, it's pretty cheap, the abrasive paper, and it works really good. You're going to need polishing compound. Now, there's so many different kinds of compound. I recommend, if you only want to do a one-step, use this blue from Luxy. They also have a white, which is more of like a finishing. It's less aggressive, but it can be a pain to use because it gums up really easy if you're spinning at too fast of an RPM. Then your buffs. I'm really only going to recommend one, maybe two, and I'll have links for these. Show you what they look like new. Here's what these ones look like new. By far the best buff I have used is this one right here. And then they have cotton buffs. These are way less aggressive, better for a final polish. You can use these for whatever you want, but if you need to get fire stain or abrasions out, you're gonna want this one right here. It's I think it's called a Cameo. I'll link it in the description. Pumice wheels. These extremely useful. They come with a mandrel like this. This kit comes with 2 grits. I don't know what the grits are. I'd have to guess 800 and 1200. So you got wheels and then you got knife edge like that. And these are essentially abrasive paper, but they break down and degrade, and they don't become finer and finer. You know, as the grit wears away, they stay the same. Very useful. Your solderite board. Solderite, vermiculite, whatever you want to use. This is a surface where the edge here, that's what it's going to look like new. But once you put heat on it and get your borax on there, it's going to look like this. These are essential for protecting your work area. It reflects heat rather than absorbing it. About 10-15 seconds after you have a torch on here, even if you get the board red hot, you can touch it and it shouldn't burn you. It does a perfect job at protecting your bench underneath your soldering surface. Needle files. I recommend starting out, get a cheap set from like Menards, you know, just so you're not breaking your bank to figure out if this is something you want to do. But these are so useful. I use every single one of these. They make so many kinds, but they're all extremely useful. Just get a good set once you know you're going to like it. So Gordon Varlow is the company I stick with files. Now these needle files, this set was pretty expensive. It was like 90 bucks, but I really like them. I think they're worth it. Okay, you got ring clamps. I recommend handheld ones. There is one you want to avoid, but I don't know where it is. So get these two. This one holds from the OD, the outer diameter, and this one holds from the ID, the inner diameter. Very useful for tons of different applications. They're about $5 each. So here are 3 tools that you don't need but are extremely helpful. You got a rolling mill, which is behind me. That just makes your silver sheet, and it squishes down your ingots so that you can draw out wire. And if you're making your own wire, you're going to need draw plates. These get pretty pricey, like 70-80 bucks a piece. You can do square wire, round wire with them.